Welcome to STEM. You will need a piece of paper and scissors for this lesson. I teach with Mrs. Costello this semester, and so she always has some sort of slide that has all of the materials that the students will need for the lesson so that all the students can get on the same page before the lesson begins. To start the lesson, I taught a little bit about the frog life cycle. And because they're on Zoom, and to kind of get them a little bit more excited about school, we used Froggy Froggy, and it's a rap about frogs and their life cycle and what's the difference between a frog and a toad, things like that, which the kids loved. And so we played this, and then we talked a little bit about eggs and tadpoles and how it goes from an egg to a tadpole, and then that the legs appear and that the tail eventually disappears. And so we talked a little bit about that. And then the secret to success on Zoom is to keep them engaged in some sort of hands-on activity. So I led them through an origami exercise to make their own frog that will actually jump. And so that's why I have my camera on today. I'm going to show you all how to fold one piece of paper into a jumping frog that will keep the kids energized and keep their attention. I did link a video to this frog. So when I was teaching it, I would be able to click this, but I did find that actually doing it with the students helped them stay engaged, but also was like, oh wow, like my teacher can do that too. So kind of gives them a little bit more confidence. So the first thing that you'll need to do is make it a perfect square, as it's origami. And so you'll take the top corner and fold it to the edge. And it's just like this. So you would make a big triangle is pretty much what you're doing. And then that extra little piece right there, you're going to cut that off with your scissors. This is the only thing you're going to need your scissors for. So it's a very simple cut. So no worries. It's one little strip of paper. I told the kids at the end that they can use this for their to-do list or their grocery list, or they could use it as a bookmark. That way we are able to recycle this or reuse it instead of putting it in the landfill. So with this triangle, you're going to take these two together and you're going to fold them. It's just like this. So when you open it up, you have a big X. All right. You're going to unfold it and you're going to fold it in half like a hamburger. All right, so then you have this line and you have this line showing. So you're going to fold this bottom corner up and you're going to make another triangle. All right, and then you're going to take this bottom corner and you're going to fold it up to the crease. Just like this, you're making an X, like X marks the spot on a treasure map. Same thing at the top, you already have this one folded, so you'll take this top corner and fold it down. Alrighty, so you've got this folded down, and then you'll take this top corner and fold it down to the middle line. So you're going to make two X's. So you've got your top X and you've got your bottom X. Then I would tell the kids the secret to success is to make these creases really good. And so I would ask them to fold them again, just to make sure that they are really creased so that when we do the next step, it's much easier. If they don't do that step, some of the kids aren't using a flat table like I am. They may be using a book. They may be using their lap. They may be using a wall. So that extra little step definitely helps them. Then you're going to take your two edges, you're going to push them together, and then you're going to push the top part flat. So I'm going to do that again. It's kind of hard to see on the camera. Just like that, and then you're going to push this part down. It's hard to do while holding it. All right, so that's the top, and then you'll do the same thing for the bottom. It's hard to do holding it, but basically you are folding that top layer down. So you make a perfect square. Alrighty, if you look at these pictures, and then I tell the students, you know, frogs are symmetrical. They have an eye over here, an eye over here. They have 2 feet on each side. And so that's why we have to make sure at the top that these flaps are symmetrical. And so we talk a little bit about symmetry and what that means and how many shapes we've used. And I ask the kids, you know, while they're all trying to make sure it's folded all good, I'm like, so how many shapes have we used? And they're like, rectangle because the big paper, and then we made another rectangle because of the to-do list paper. Then we made all these triangles and squares, and I'll ask the kids, I'm like, did we make a circle? And the kids are like, no. And so they have a really good time. And to keep with like the classroom management, we do thumbs up, thumbs down. So I'll ask, you know, are there any circles? And all the kids go, no or yes. And so it helps with not having all the kids unmute their mic. And so once you have folded your triangles down, you're going to create more triangles. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the bottom flap and you're going to fold it up to the top like this. Bottom up. And then you're going to do the same thing with this one because, again, symmetry. You've got that. And then you're going to do the same thing for the bottom too. You've got these. Well, these are the legs that you're making. And so then I tell the kids, I'm like, okay, so what do frogs do? And, you know, I'll ask them to raise their hand. I'll like ask to unmute in Zoom. And they'll be like, they jump. Or they'll say, you know, to go eat flies. And like they'll use little examples that are within this froggy video. And so then I'm like, well, what if their legs are this big? How far can they go? And some of the kids are like, really far, not so far. And so I asked them, you know, how can we make it faster? And it's to make their legs smaller, right? And so that's why I have all these examples. Bullfrogs, they aren't able to move as quick because their legs are so large. But tree frogs that live up in trees, they have smaller legs. And so what we did is we folded at the top flap, you fold these out towards the edge. And those make the small legs that are able to jump. And then you'll do that for all 4 of them. And it should look like an X. And those are small legs so that they can jump. Then, because it's symmetrical, we're going to fold this in half. Like that. I'm going to fold it in half to make sure we've got it lined up. So that's why frogs are symmetrical. We can fold it in half. And I talked a little bit about like the mirror idea, that it mirrors each other. So I'll fold it in half and show them that. Okay, so then this is the hard part. And so you may need to help them with this. So you're actually making the face. So you have to choose whether this is going to be the front or the back. So I'm going to choose that this is going to be, I'm going to choose that this part is going to be the front. So you're going to fold the edge that does not have any legs over to the middle. Alrighty. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take the head, so I chose this to be the head, you're going to fold that up to the middle. The reason I said that last step, some of the kids like folded this part up when they do like the mirror part. And so I'm used to telling them to unfold it. So you're going to make this up to the middle because this is his head. And then you're going to fold these over to make it be able to jump. So you fold this over and then you'll fold this part over. So then you've got something that looks like this. And this is what you fold in half. You're going to take the thing that looks like this, and then this is his face. So you can like take a moment. If they have a pencil box with them, they can like write a smile. So I'm going to use green because frogs are green, and make a smiley face. And then you're going to fold the legs up. So you're going to kind of take this and you're going to fold it up. You got to push down really hard, make sure that that crease works. And this is your final product. It is a jumping frog. And what you do is you take 2 fingers like this, and you push on the back, and it'll jump. And the kids really enjoy it. Depending on the amount of time I had left, I asked them how, like I would like set a timer for maybe 60 seconds or a minute, or like a minute and a half. And I would ask them how many times they could make their frog jump. And you could see the kids, they're like making, going everywhere off the kitchen table, trying to figure that out. And then some of the kids, like if theirs didn't work, I asked them why it didn't work. And so we actually were able to problem solve and try to figure out how they could make their frog different, because all of the frogs are different, just like this picture. They're all different shades of green. They may have little bumps. They may have little spots. And so a lot of the kids were like, well, what if mine doesn't jump? Well, what about frogs that may have a broken leg, or maybe they're tree frogs and they're, have a lot of young to take care of or something like that, or they're eating a snack. Well, they're not going to want to, jump around. And so I thought on my feet a little bit and allowed the kids to decorate their frog. And so that's a good idea too. It's pretty simple to be able to color on because the creases are actually flat, so they can draw all over the frog. And then while they're doing that, just coloring, decorating, I found this frog in Winter Story. And so I said, if you have time, sometimes the kids flew through the lesson and they were able to make the frog pretty quickly. But then some of the lessons, the students really needed a lot of assistance on how to make the X's at the beginning, how to make, you have to pull the edges in and make that triangle. That's pretty hard for the students. But when you're able to do it with them step by step, it is much easier than just playing the video. And so I hope that this helps, and go dogs.